We are about to get started here shortly. So, first off, appreciate those who hop on in to check out today's live stream. And, for the most part, and the most part of the live stream today, we're going to talk about this news that everyone's been talking about yesterday. So, waited, until today to actually host a podcast pretty much talking about this thing that's about to hit T-Mobile. But I think one of the things we do have to bring into this conversation is other entities such as Google Fi, Helium Mobile, just to name a few. How does this affect them? So all that in today's podcast. But I'm just waiting to get started. So if you guys do want to say hello, to say hi, what's up, whatever, post an emoji. I don't care. Just say hi in the chat. Take a gander at the poll question of today. And I'm going to give it a little answer. I'll have another question popping up later on, but this one's just to kind of start off with. So hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you guys here. Today, we are talking about T-Mobile, their decision to shut down not only 4G LTE, but 5G NSA. And what does this mean, not only for T-Mobile customers or Metro by T-Mobile customers or T-Mobile prepaid customers, but how does this affect companies like Google Fi, Boost Mobile, Helium Mobile, just to name a few that rely on T-Mobile, the network. So we're going to discuss that. Feel free to chime on in with your thoughts and opinions, emotional outbursts, and all those types of things. So, anyways, let's kick the tires and light the fires and get this pretty much started. Also, I will talk a little bit about the Google Pixel 7a, but there is a video dropping about this phone later on today. So make sure you guys are ready for it once it's available, and turn on notifications because it will premiere later on this afternoon. At least this afternoon, my time, right? Right now it's like 9:57 a.m. So started a little bit early, but T-Mobile, I'm making some changes. First off, I am well aware of what's going on in the world of the telco industry. I do know that on the Verizon side of things, that they're tapping into a new CEO, and Hans Vestberg is pretty much out. I also know that T-Mobile is doing the same thing, as Mike Sievert, who's the current CEO, is phasing out. I forgot the name of the person who they got to replace him as CEO of T-Mobile, but anyways, it's going to be pretty interesting, and that's going to be for a different topic on another day. Why am I covering this whole T-Mobile 5G switch up type thing? Well, I use Google Fi, so this is definitely going to affect me. And I do have Metro by T-Mobile, which, will affect me, and it'll affect my son because my oldest son uses Metro by T-Mobile. But on top of that, I have my family in Hawaii, my sister, they're on T-Mobile. And so when I make, podcasts or videos like this, I tend to send her links so at her downtime she can listen. Can't wait to see her though. She's coming here in 3 weeks. She'll be here, just about, and then we're taking a trip together to go see my dad. So I'm really excited to have my older sister here. I don't know if she's going to join me on a podcast from in here. We can do another. You guys tell me. Even those in the replay crew, ask me, but put it in the chat. Do you want me and my older sister to bring back the Feed Your Head podcast, where she and I talk about life stuff and what's going on in the world? If you guys want to see that, let me know, and I'll talk to her about it. And if you guys want one at the end of this month when she's physically here in my place, I would be more than happy to set that up, and she can, just sit with me and tag team doing this podcasting. But anyways, so it looks like that we have some answers to the questions. I'm going to take a look right now and see. 67% say no, and 33% says yes. Question is, does your current device rely on LTE still? Gene, what's up? Hey, how's it going? TJ says yes. Glad to have you guys here. So for those of you guys who follow Sneed Mobile Tech or Rando Geek, if not, I would say subscribe to them. If you have no idea who they are, or haven't subscribed to them, go check them out. They do a lot more coverage on the telco industry than I do. Anyways, give them some love, give them some support. So yeah, let's just kind of go ahead and get into all of this madness of what's happening, with T-Mobile and their decision to shut down not only LTE but also 5G NSA. So, let's see. If you're not familiar with it, LTE or 4G was the fourth generation of cellular connectivity all across the United States. 5G obviously stands for fifth generation, and in the very humble beginnings of 5G, basically you had 5G NR bands, but they relied on a 4G LTE core. Now that has since changed, but that version of 5G was also known as 5G NSA, non-standalone, which today everything's migrating over to a standalone core. So you're talking about specifically in a case point real 5G. Now, I have some friends who will argue that point, that if it's real 5G or not, they know who they are, and big shout out to them. But I'm not going to go into actually debating this, what's real 5G, what's fake 5G, and yada yada yada. I'm just going to go in on what's happening with T-Mobile. Let's see. Gene says my new phone now updated to Android 16 and uses 5G. Well, being that it's on Android doesn't really have anything to do with that, right? It really just has to do with its 5G connectivity, whether it's on Android 15 or Android 14 does not really matter. What matters is how it's connecting to the network and what does it rely on? Is it, does it only support 5G NSA bands, or does it support 5G SA or standalone? For those people who might think that the SA stands for something different, no, it means standalone in the world of telco. But anyways, your device would have to be able to support that. And so this really kind of depends on the modem that your phone has. Just to be kind of a little descriptive of it. Anyways, so this is from phonearena.com. Let me drop the link in the chat for you guys if you guys want to read this one on your own. You also can find articles on Fierce Wireless and several other publications too as well that are discussing this, like Android Authority is discussing this. A lot of them are. So there's a link for you guys. And yeah, anyways, so this is why they're talking about it. So a newsletter, I guess this is internal documentation from T-Mobile, basically just outlining that they're going to, the 4G network will mostly be gone by 2028. So this is not like just a straight shut off switch on a lot of people. It's not like today you have access to T-Mobile's LTE, you have access to T-Mobile's 5G NSA bands, and then it's gone tomorrow. Like they're gonna phase it out, and it's going to be completely phased out by 2028. Why are they doing this? The way that that T-Mobile is seeing it in a nutshell is a lot of those 4G LTE bands. So this is like the frequencies that connect to your device and deliver data and voice over LTE and all that. They're going to reallocate those frequencies for standalone 5G connections. So we're talking band 2, I believe, like band 2, band 66. I think there's another one. Can't remember exactly. I think they mentioned it here. Right, so band 2, band 4, band 66, 12, and some of 71 frequencies. So they will retire them from being on the LTE network, and they will transition them to moving over. So band 2 will move over and become N2 completely for T-Mobile, and then band 4 and 66 to N66. That is what's going to be happening here. Let's see. Gene asked, but why would they do that in some places? Well, in some places don't have 5G and only offer LTE where I live. I have 5G and LTE, so if they stop LTE, how would our devices work without LTE? So that's a great question, Gene. I'm about to get into that. There's a ruse behind all of this. This is not just for the sake of building a solid 5G network as they would like for you to believe. There is another reason, which is a win-win for T-Mobile. We'll get into that here shortly. I'm about to get to that. TJ says they're trying to get rid of the towers that they've they've been having for the backup. Finally realizing that if they don't get that squared away, it's going to be difficult for customers. Yes, I mean that is one reason. But doesn't older devices like the Google Go devices only offer 4G, like the free cell phone carriers? Yeah, and this heavily impacts them. We're going to get into that here shortly. Trust me, Gene. It's all going to make sense here in a second. You may not like it, but it's going to make sense. So anyways, yeah. So these are the bands that they're going to be allocating over to their 5G standalone, which is, where they're going to shut down LTE completely. So this is all to be phased out by 2028, according to this document, which was, I guess, an internal document to T-Mobile employees, so that way they would know what's going on and what to expect. Now, it is going to be painful. Okay, I am going to be very honest with a lot of people. This is going to be a painful transition. Anytime that an MNO or mobile network operator begins a change this big, it's going to cause pain points for people. So you will have people start taking to social media talking about T-Mobile absolutely sucks. I can't do this on my phone. I can't watch this on my phone. And it's going to happen because you have to think certain towers are going to be shut off, decommissioned, I'm assuming. And certain towers are going to be converted as these spectrums are going to be reallocated to just straight 5G standalone. So not having a 5G network with the LTE core, but a 5G network with a 5G core. Obviously, going to bring, connectivity that's going to be ultimately sustainable for most people out there. I would say at least a good 85% of Americans that are on T-Mobile are going to be just fine with this new switch over. So, yeah, during that transition, it's going to be very painful, which, people are going to play the musical chairs. When it comes to the telco industry with consumers and the MNO businesses, it's always a game of musical chairs. Today, you love T-Mobile. Tomorrow, it absolutely blows elephants' goats. And then you're going to go and be like, I'm leaving to Verizon or I'm leaving to AT&T. And then, a couple of months later, your area is back up in tip-top shape with all these new changes that's happened to the network in your area. And then you're going to jump back onto T-Mobile. And it's a win for these guys. I've already said it before, I'm not a big fan of having only 3 MNO carriers. I wanted 4. I wanted the competition to be in favor of consumers and not in favor of businesses. Because when you only have 3 major carriers, you're not really going anywhere. Basically, these 3 carriers are just sharing you. It's today you're on T-Mobile. Yeah, go ahead, go to Verizon. Verizon wants some of your love. And then you go to Verizon, and then Verizon just mistreats you. And then you're like, I'm going to AT&T. And Verizon and T-Mobile are laughing haha, I had them, but I can't wait for seconds, type of thing. I know, that sounds terrible. It does. Now, Jane asked a very good question, so I want to start off with this first, right? Because this is my area when it comes to the whole mobile tech thing is mobile smartphones. So what happens to people that have outdated phones, those that still rely on a device that's 4G LTE only? Because there's some people who don't upgrade until the phone absolutely hits the graveyard. If they could duct tape, super glue, repair their phone and it still functioned the way they got it day out of box, trust me, there are people out there that would do that. They would rather, ride it till the wheels falls off before trying to get something shiny, every year. They're trying to subsidize those towers to be a back end for 5G. Yep. Meaning the 4G towers that they've been having for the last few years as the backup tower to piggyback off of the 4G signal. Now they're realizing that that's got too much traffic. So what they're finally doing is allocating those 5G towers to have a full 5G backend for the network. Yes. Ultimately strengthening the experience with 5G on T-Mobile. Because right now, between T-Mobile, AT&T, and 5G, it's so close as far as network quality that you're not really going to notice such a giant difference. It used to be where people could proudly say that Verizon smokes the hell out of, T-Mobile and AT&T, but that's slowly and slowly changing. Ultimately, because AT&T acquired some spectrum from EchoStar, who is the owner of Dish and Boost Mobile. At the same time, too, we also see news that talked about basically Verizon's in the working deals with EchoStar to buy some of their spectrum as well. So Verizon and AT&T taking parts of Boost Mobile really just kind of like hurts the industry, in my opinion. But that's for a different topic. Okay, so going back to Gene's question about about people with LTE devices, people that have devices that are NSA 5G devices only, right? I'll give you an example. My Pixel 5, because AT&T did a similar thing when it came to the Pixel 5. So a couple years back, AT&T no longer supported devices that could only connect to 5G NSA. So the Pixel 5a and the Pixel 5 were pretty much out of the running. And anytime that I put anything with AT&T inside of it, it would just show LTE. You were defaulted to LTE. But you gotta remember, AT&T had some trickery back then, right? You guys remember what was it, 5GE? Do you guys remember that? AT&T's little slick way to make their customers feel like that they had 5G. I remember I had like friends at work that would walk up and be like, "Man, I got 5G early." Like, yeah, I'm with AT&T. I got this phone. Look. It says 5GE. And I had to break it down to them that 5GE is not real 5G. It was just a more advanced LTE. And that's really what they were connecting to. Yeah, so, AT&T did that. So with my Pixel 5, if I was to try and activate it, like say like on Metro by T-Mobile, after the shutdown happens, or if I was to connect it to Helium or whatever, it wouldn't work. Because remember, they're shutting down LTE too, right? So it wouldn't work. T-Mobile doesn't have 2G anymore. They shut that down at the beginning of the year. 3G was excommunicado like a couple years back. So really, T-Mobile is going to be a 5G only supported service. Now, if you don't have a phone that can support the service, this is where T-Mobile is going to definitely benefit, because you can go through them and get a subsidized phone as an upgrade, so that way you can remain on the T-Mobile network, which is more than likely what they're going to push people to do. People that they know that have outdated devices are definitely going to be getting an email or a letter in the mail, like a hard mail. And it's just going to tell you, like, now's a great time for you to upgrade. And they're going to have some really, really killer deals, some banging deals, obviously, because they definitely want you to buy a new phone. So that's what the upside is for them going full 5G and dismantling their LTE and their 5G NSA. You got to upgrade a phone. You have no choice. Now, if you don't upgrade with them, you can get an unlocked device. You can get an unlocked device from Apple, from Google, from Samsung. So this benefits their partners as well. Companies that rely on T-Mobile to sell their devices in-house. So they're going to get a nice cut of it. And, for the most part, if you don't want to upgrade, well, they don't care to leave you behind, because where are you going to go? It won't be long after, in my opinion, that AT&T and Verizon do a similar thing. It may not happen like right away. They may not be announcing it next month or the month after, but eventually they will do the same thing. So no matter which way you slice it, that's only where you can go. You're going to go to one of them. They don't care. Gene, you got to understand, these companies do not give a flip and flap about you. They don't care. And if anyone had ever invested so much loyalty into these companies, then I'm going to call it like it is. You're a fool. You are a fool if you invest your loyalty into these companies. They're not loyal to you. They don't care. They don't care if a lot of people, had these phones for years and don't want to get rid of them. They don't give a flying flip. They don't care. And their thing is upgrade to a new phone so you can use their services, or you get left behind. That's the way that these companies operate. They're like a train. And the options that they give you is, where are you on this train? You can either be on top of it, looking in and wishing you were a part of it. You definitely don't want to be in front of it because you're going to get ran over. You don't want to be behind it and get left behind because, again, you're just going to screw yourself. You want to be in the train. That's what they want people to feel like. And they're going to push that. They're definitely going to push it. Doesn't matter. This is one of those instances where you can't vote with your wallet. You can't be like, I'm not going to do this. Because as soon as T-Mobile does this, Verizon and AT&T is going to see the type of effect that it has, how it's pushing people to upgrade, and they're going to want to do it themselves. None of these three companies wants to be your champion where they can be like, yeah, we're going to be straight up with you. Because they're not. They're about making dollars. That's pretty much it. The only thing these companies are loyal to is your dollar. But they're not even loyal to that because they know that they don't need to beg you for your dollars. They're going to make you give them your dollars. Sorry if my voice is cutting in and out. Like I really believe I'm getting sick. Oh, there will still be free cell phone. Lifeline and everything like that. Of course they'll still be there. Of course they'll still be there. They're not going to get rid of those things. You know, what they're going to do, because there's devices that are like hella cheap that can connect to 5G SA. You know, it's not only the most expensive phones can connect to this type of 5G network. It's not like that. There are devices that are cheap. What they're wanting to do is, while they're going to be heavily focused on improving their network by making it completely 5G standalone, which is, you know, a benefit because of the speeds and, you know, the latency and everything you're going to get. It's just a win-win for them because it's like anybody else who's been on, you know, T-Mobile for like 10, 15, 20 years. And the last time that they upgraded to a new phone was in 2017, 2018, 2019. You know, let's chalk it up to like 2019, right? Between 2018 and 2019 was the last time they upgraded. Well, this is going to force them to do it. This is going to force them to go and get the you know, a new phone. Like someone can have like an iPhone 5 if they still do. That's crazy, but they could. They could have an iPhone 5, hell, an iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, you know, and they're going to get pushed to upgrade. They're going to have to. And T-Mobile wins because that's more money in their pockets. That's what they're going to get. So, yeah, anyhow. So like I said, you know, everything's being reallocated over to 5G SA. And then any device that connects to LTE or 5G NSA is going to be excommunicado off T-Mobile network. So you would have to upgrade. So it says right here, by 2028, 4G will mostly fade into history, except for a single 5 megahertz LTE channel limping along, significantly affecting capacity and coverage. This is expected to impact LTE and 5G NSA devices. LTE will continue to exist in a limited capacity until 2035 to support legacy devices, but performance will degrade substantially. So there you have it. Of course, they know that, you know, not a lot of people will upgrade no matter how much you push. So they're going to make it painfully unbearable for you. You may keep your LTE device and it may still catch a signal. But like it says right here, the performance of the LTE connectivity is going to be substantially downgraded. I'm going to go on the whim and say it's going to be kind of like how it was back in 2012. Remember the days of LTE then where it was so spotty and very, you know, unreliable at times. That's definitely what's going to happen. So if your phone has LTE and 5G, as long as you have 5G, it will still work, right? So yes, it will still work, but like I just stated right here, if your device is LTE compatible, or if it's 5G NSA, so I know that's like what's the difference, okay? But basically, if your device can still connect to 5G NSA and LTE, yeah, it'll still be able to work, but it's going to be painful. Okay, there's seriously, I mean, you're talking about the rest of their LTE bands being completely reallocated over to standalone 5G connections. So a lot of the speeds you get on LTE right now on T-Mobile's network, because T-Mobile's LTE is pretty fast. I can run a speed test in an area where I live. It actually has very poor T-Mobile connection, and when I run LTE speed test, I can get close to 100 megabits per second on the download. So it's still pretty good. You can still watch YouTube and stuff like that on it. But for the most part, now just imagine when they reallocate a lot of that bandwidth over to standalone 5G, and all we really have left is, like 5 megahertz of LTE. That's going to be significantly rough. All right, that might feel like it could be maybe as slow as 3G. 512 kilobits per second type speeds. Kind of like, I would say, like in between 256 and 512 kilobits per second type of thing. It would feel like that majority of the time. There were probably like influxes of, fast speeds, but it's also going to depend on how many people in your area are relying on that LTE connection. So if you live in a small town of, say, 500 people and 200 of them have LTE phones, even when this change happens, that 5 megahertz of LTE has to be used by those 200 people. So 200 people on a very small channel like that, and it's like having 5 o'clock rush hour on a 2-lane road. You're stuck like Chuck. So that's totally gonna suck. So it says here the transition will begin with business customers on January 1st, 2026, which is when T-Mobile will stop approving most LTE and 5G NSA activations. Existing LTE contracts won't be renewed or extended beyond 2035. So 2035 will be the absolute complete phase out of 4G LTE. That will be gone by then. So that is 10 years from this year. Kind of crazy, right? 5G is going to last a lot longer because, 4G, I believe, was 10 years also. Yeah, 4G was pretty much like 10 years. 3G was 10 years also as well. So it's really crazy to see that, 5G is going to last just a little bit longer. Oh, my wife's not feeling too good. My wife got to work, but she's feeling a little dizzy. So hopefully she feels a little better. If not, I'm going to tell her to come home. I wouldn't want her to be at work and being dizzy like that. Well, that green tea was good. By the way, hit the like button if you guys enjoy the Arizona green teas. I really like them. They're good. They're good cold, like ice frosty cold, but they're also good when you warm them up. Like what I do to warm up, a can of Arizona green teas, you get a pot of water, boil the water. Once the water's boiling, I just put the can inside and let the boiling water heat it up. Keep it in there for about 3 to 5 minutes. Take it out, crack it open, pour it in a teacup. It's nice and hot, and just sip it. It's really good too that way. If you never had it that way, I would say try it. Anyways, so continuing on, it says every hertz tied up in 4G could instead be used to make 5G faster. So there is no indication that carriers would be pulling the plug on 4G networks this soon, especially because 5G could work in conjunction with 4G. That said, unlike AT&T and Verizon, T-Mobile didn't use legacy 4G assets to deploy 5G, which might explain why it's the first one to let go. Other carriers' 5G networks were built upon LTE technology, so their 4G shutdown may take longer. While the decommissioning of T-Mobile's LTE network may be an inconvenience for some customers initially, eventually 5G coverage and speeds will improve as 4G spectrum is repurposed. New network technologies offer better encryptions and energy efficiency, so it's a promising sign that T-Mobile will be moving away from LTE over the next 2 years. In 2035, no more 4G. T-Mobile is beginning to phase out 4G starting January 1st, 2026. That conversion is going to begin with T-Mobile business customers, eventually trickling its way down to T-Mobile postpaid and then MVNOs as well. After that, their goal is to T-Mobile's goal is to have it shut down by 2028, or at least majority of it, and only keep a small sliver of LTE, which they stated 5 megahertz of LTE would be like the last running bit of signal. For those people who definitely don't want to upgrade or are just, really stubborn and they won't, no matter how hard T-Mobile pushes, they won't. So their idea is to keep a very small sliver of LTE so that way they don't lose them as customers. And then that experience can be so bad that, they're just going to want to go in themselves and upgrade because it's terrible. So yes, 4G is planned to go away by 2035, but T-Mobile is the first one to begin doing it starting January 1st, 2026. So if you have an LTE only device, or if you have a device that uses 5G NSA, which is non-standalone, then you will feel the pinch of this change. If you have like a newer iPhone, or newer Pixel device, anything above, I believe Pixel 6. I think Pixel 6 also uses 5G SA or standalone. And so the Pixel 5 uses 5G NSA. So the Pixel 5 will no longer be supported on T-Mobile. I mean, it will for the LTE and the very small spectrum that they have, but it's not worth trying to run and operate your phone on such a sluggish connection. It's just not. You'll be aggravated. Spare yourself the headaches. Anyway, so it says T-Mobile and other carriers have also activated 5G RedCap for smartwatches and other small devices, which is another reason they no longer need to keep their legacy LTE modules around. 4G and 5G use very similar underlying technology, which will make it easier for T-Mobile to reuse 4G hardware and spectrum for 5G without disrupting services. So I guess the transition should be just a little bit better. Now, this goes on to say this is a transition towards 6G. So the first 6G standard is expected to be finalized in 2029, a year after T-Mobile shuts down 4G for most customers. 6G is expected to be here by 2030, which explains why T-Mobile is eager to retire 4G. While there's no definite timeline for when T-Mobile will roll out 6G, the dismantling of 4G is a step towards modernizing 5G, on top of which 6G will be built. T-Mobile has been ahead of its competition in the 5G rollout, and its eagerness to transition away from 4G suggests it could once again lead with 6G. So, obviously, there are some reasons why. Sorry if my vocals got really, I don't know what it is. The gain on my microphone just spiked really bad for a second there, so my bad. I'm sorry, guys. But ultimately, I mean, yes, when it comes down to mobile phones, connectivity, and things like that, yeah, we definitely want faster speeds, right? In layman's terms, not being a telco head, not being a geek or nerd, but just an average person, they want YouTube to just run, and not just run normally, like they want the highest resolution, the highest frame rates, and they just want it to be buttery smooth. Same with gameplay. They want to play their games. No hiccups, no buffering, no drop frame rates, none of that stuff. They want everything to be smooth. Like people demand everything to be superly smooth. And they don't care what makes it smooth or what not makes it smooth. They just want it to be smooth. Sorry. I don't even think my wife knows I'm live. I'm not going to tell her because she's just going to feel bad. But, yeah, so, oh man, all of this is, it's just wrapping up into just like this big movement towards 6G. And I know people are like, well, 5G is not even perfect yet. Yes, you're right. 5G is not even perfect yet. This is a step into going into that direction. And, I'm not loyal to any one of these brands. I'm not loyal to Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. I'm not loyal to Google Fi, Visible, any of those companies. I'm not loyal to them. I don't care. Well, all I want is, good phone service for the things that I want done at a reasonable or best deal price as possible. Today, prices are going up on a line. You look at postpaid phone lines, and they're like $100 for one line. One line. And if you bring 3 more people with you, you could probably get a deal where you have 4 lines for the same $100. But you're sold on other things too. You're sold on add-ons. You're sold on subscriptions. You're sold on a lot of things. Today, mobile phone carriers do not sell just mobile phone service. Now they sell mobile phone service, streaming subscriptions, gaming subscriptions, anti, spy protection, scam protection, spam protection. Why would you want to be? Anyways, I'm thinking different spam. If you didn't catch that. So Gene says, so eventually there will be devices with 6G down the road, and 5G will be phased. Yeah, I mean that's the entire idea. When one comes in, right? So 5G is here now. We're not in the beginning phases of 5G anymore. We haven't been for like a year or two. We're not there. We're now in the middle. We're now in that constant plateau of just being with 5G connectivity. Most places you go to today have 5G connectivity. Most cities you go to. So with that being said, when 6G comes around, there maybe be like 4 or 5 devices that come out in 2030 that are 6G capable. But once 6G is like fully built out across the United States, like all 3 carriers have built out their 6G network, then you can start to expect 5G being like, a backup, right? Like a fallback. If you go to like a rural town or something that, just got 5G 4 years prior, you'll be able to connect to 5G over there, which is, going to be able to handle, depending on how they build out the 6G network and what bands are going to be allocated for the 6G output. So those are things you have to think about, and the same thing will happen when 7G comes and when 8G comes. I don't know. Maybe I'll be alive for the first 10G phone. I should be, possibly. Who knows? Because there's different things that's happening when it comes to this. There's different things that's going to happen. One of the things that's going to happen, obviously, because it wasn't talked about in this article, but satellite direct to device. I mean that is a step in the direction where they want to go with these connectivities. This is the reason why that EchoStar is selling a lot of its spectrum, and this is the reason why that EchoStar is possibly in soon to be partnership with Starlink, because before Boost started selling their spectrum to AT&T and whatnot, when Boost Mobile was considered the 4th carrier for growth, they had already begun discussing about direct to satellite. I can say that I've seen documentations before they even announced it. This was something that was already being kicked around at the office, with customer care reps, because customer care reps have access to documents that concern the network, and they're able to read it in order to get answers. It's just most people don't want to spend their time researching for answers to try to resolve an issue. They just want to get the issue resolved for customers to get that fast resolve and, be able to have the customer feel like, yes, they fixed my problem and they did it in like under half an hour. Not like the other person I was with, it took them 2 hours to fix my problem. Like they like that kind of response. So most people that work at customer care don't go into what I call the encyclopedia, because every carrier's customer service team, they have a tool. They have something that's like an encyclopedia, and it's got tons of information regarding the company, past, present, and upcoming. So you can find information about 2G, like 2G network and 2G speeds, in their encyclopedia. And yeah, they scrub old documents when it's no longer needed, but they tend to hold on to these things for a little bit longer, just in case they run into issues that regard that. So customer care, they're able to help. They just don't want to, or don't have that, they feel like they don't have the time to resolve the issue by researching like that. So they don't really dip into it. On times that we had downtime at work, I'll tell you guys, I actually went snooping around. While other people were like on their phones playing a game or whatever, I was going through Boost Mobile's encyclopedia of things just to read so I could be more knowledgeable in the brand and And I found some things pretty interesting too. Things that talked about the network and that that Boost Mobile had is building and all that stuff. No, I didn't give the information out to just anybody. That's pertinent information, and that would get me in some serious trouble. So I've never leaked information out, but I knew about things. I knew about and if I had made guesstimations, those guesstimations were based on something that I saw. I never told anyone what it was that I saw that led me to that guesstimation that certain things that EchoStar and Boost did was eventually going to happen. But, it's like watching pro wrestling. And if you're a big wrestling fan, you see something that happens in the ring between two wrestlers and you can kind of like predict their storyline outcome. Yeah, it's like that. So, let's see. Who knows? There may be 7G. No, there's going to be. So all it really stands for is just a generation of it. It's like it's technology that's growing. Mobile phone communications. When you look at 1G and what it was back then to 5G, right? Back then we just had cell phones with just voice over radio, and that's it. And then, as time progressed, 2G and the development of SMS text messaging. And then, for picture messaging, 3G came along to better that foundation of, MMS and chatting and some, some video playback on YouTube. And you look at 4G and that just really kind of just changed a lot of things, right? We got all the stuff that we were getting with 3G, but we also started to get video chatting. That started to become a thing on LTE. Online gaming, live gaming and stuff like that. All that started to come along. And now you look at 5G, and we have AI computing, like AI cloud computing, right? Because not like the Pixel 10, the Pixel 9. Yes, they have Gemini Nano, which is on-device AI computing. And but there are other devices for instance, like my OnePlus 9 can use Gemini. You can install the Gemini app on the OnePlus 9, but it doesn't have on-device AI computing, so it's done by the cloud. So information is sent to the cloud has the AI that computes the prompts, commands, or whatever, and then feeds that back down to your device. And so that wouldn't be possible without 5G. And of course, the advancements in home internet with fiber connections, right? Fiber is definitely taking over. And I wish Google Fiber came to my city. I wish CenturyLink and Cox Internet weren't such assholes and blocked them from coming to Phoenix. There's some cities outside of Phoenix that got Google Fiber, and man, is it so good. Even I know someone that even has the free plan on Google Fiber when they first launched Google Fiber and they were rolling out across America. They got the free plan, which was I think 7 megabits per second down, and I think 1.5 megabits per second on the uplink, and it was free. All you had to do was pay for the installation of Google Fiber to your house, and then you just had free Wi-Fi. Of course, you could never go any higher than 7 megabits per second, so you couldn't really do like extreme heavy online gaming on it, but it was good enough to watch YouTube videos in 480p on your computer, and it was able to browse information. And Google was giving that for free because they were in support of students having Wi-Fi access at home so they can do their homework. Sandeep, hello. Where am I from? The U.S. I am from the U.S., brother. Arizona, yeah. Yeah, Isaac, Arizona is where I live. For now. Who knows? Oh, yeah, let's see. Did anyone else vote on the poll? Let's see. Does your current device rely on LTE still? 54% says yes, and 36% says no. Now, if you guys didn't read that question correctly, I mean, that's what I meant, is does your device rely on LTE still? Like, do you need a device that has LTE connectivity, or can you use a device that's just 5G standalone only? I don't know if these polls let you change their answers. But I'm gonna drop another poll here in a little bit, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. The last piece of the puzzle to all this is, how does this impact companies like Google Fi and Helium Mobile? Well, let's just say this: Boost Mobile customers that utilize the T-Mobile network are going to feel the pinch of that. They're going to make sure that they have to have a device that, doesn't rely on 5G non-standalone or LTE in order for the devices to be able to work on the network. Of course, they're going to try, like Boost is going to use that as an opportunity to push people to upgrade, obviously. So yeah, it uses both. It goes back and forth. My S23 uses 5G and 4G. Okay, cool. Yeah. So what I want. Yeah, that's the question that I was asking, because not. The question is on a hypothetical standpoint, only because there's not really a phone out there that's just 5G only. So there's a lot of phones that connect to 5G, and it may seem like that's all they connect to, because if you live, like, say, in a major metropolitan city, chances are you're only seeing the 5G logo. You're rarely going to see the LTE logo. But it can connect to LTE. There's not really a 5G phone only out there. But that's what I was saying. Boost Mobile customers, obviously Boost, it's a win-win on Boost, because those people who don't have standalone 5G supported devices are going to be forced to upgrade. Same goes on Google Fi. But Google Fi, most of the people that buy phones from Google Fi, those phones are, they're with the latest, right? They're using the latest modems, like the latest modems from Qualcomm, like the Snapdragon X80, the Samsung Exynos 5400 modem. Well, that's not the latest modem from Samsung, but that's a widely popular used modem from Samsung. So yeah, obviously, and that's what it boils down to. It depends on what modem your device has. If you have, like, an older modem from Qualcomm or whatever, it probably doesn't support standalone 5G. So, Helium Mobile is a little bit different because of their ambitions and what they're trying to do. They still haven't given up on those ambitions. They still haven't given up on wanting to build out a mesh connectivity by utilizing people's home internet that they say is wasted data, because if you're paying for unlimited fiber connection and you're hardly home, then put that connection to use and make money off of it. And that's why Helium Mobile offers indoor and outdoor mobile hotspots to be deployed. You could earn crypto, basically earning HNT, and just for deploying signal. And then people that have Helium Mobile that's commuting around your city, of course, their devices can connect to that signal. That signal does not mess with your home IoT, so it's a separate channel. Does nothing. You can't wall crawl through the Wi-Fi through people's computers, because it's a completely separate channel. So Helium Mobile is eventually trying to build this thing where it's like you're primarily, relying on these Helium Mobile hotspots deployed in cities, and then the mobile network as like a default backup if you go to a rural area or an area where no one really signed up for Helium Mobile and nobody deployed a hotspot. I mean, there was a time where people were building their own CBRS connections for Helium to basically gain crypto. That has since changed quite a bit. A lot of things have changed with Helium Mobile. I'm still on the old Helium Mobile plan, so I still pay $20 a month. I still have that line of service. I won't let it go. And it still earns both mobile tokens and Helium network tokens. And so, yeah, that line still active, still going. And I will keep that line. It's only $20 a month, so why not? Of course, they did downgrade my data connection though. So it is unlimited talk and text, and I think it's 28 gigabytes of high-speed data before throttle, which is totally fine because I have home Wi-Fi, so I rarely use it. Plus, too, I still have Google Fi, so I still have my Google Fi service. I still have Metro by T-Mobile. I still have T-Mobile, thanks to Brandon. Brandon letting me use one of his lines on his account because he had no use for it. So I use it to speed test, T-Mobile postpaid 5G connection versus Metro by T-Mobile, and then versus Google Fi. And I can tell you guys, Google Fi service, I really love Google Fi service. And its priority access is on par with T-Mobile postpaid. So even though Google Fi is an MVNO and it's Google relying on T-Mobile's network, I can tell you guys that the network quality is a lot better. Google Fi smokes Metro by T-Mobile. Obviously, the only thing that Metro by T-Mobile has better than Google Fi is that it's a true unlimited plan. And they even have a true unlimited plan at $25 if you bring your own device and port your number over. You can get a plan that's fully unlimited minus hotspot. They don't give you hotspot, and yeah, you get fully unlimited. Google Fi's top plan, the unlimited premium, $65 a month for one line, and you get unlimited talk and text. And you get 100 gigs of high-speed data until you're throttled. But you get, the usage of data only physical and eSIMs, as well as international usage to use in 200 plus countries. So yeah, there's some perks of being on Google Fi. So anyways, yeah. So before I wrap this up, I do want to let you guys know I am currently using the Google Pixel 7a. I still have it, and I'm actually using it alongside my Pixel 10. So both these phones in use. This is the fruit salad, I call it. Orange and lemongrass. Citrus colors. And I've been having a lot of fun with my Pixel 7a, especially shout out to Grant Likes Tech. This was one of the exclusive cases that came out when the Pixel 7a launched. And if you got it during the launch time, you got this exclusive case from Google sent to you for the phone. He had one that he never used. He gave it to me. I'm obviously using it. It's a clear case with like a QR code type thing. And it's a pretty cool case. And the phone in itself, still functioning pretty good. It's on Android 16 QPR 2 Beta 1. So yeah, I'm gonna be working on a video for that, and basically I'll probably drop that video today for sure. More than likely this evening. So if you guys haven't been noticing on days that I go live in the morning that I've been dropping videos either in the afternoon or evening time, that's just because I do both. I do a live stream and then I want to do a video. Most of the time I just upload a video and stuff like that. I'm not the best content creator out there, and I don't really care too much about the showmanship behind it. I just like making videos to talk to you guys and give you guys information or where to find the information, and then sharing my experiences with the phones that I like to use. Boom! I am a big Pixel fan. I really like Google Pixels. You can't convince me otherwise. People with their iPhone Airs, like, you've never held a lighter phone than this. Sure I have. When I was 5 years old, I had one of those toy phones with the wheels and the smiley face, and you pull it and you hear the little bell clinking as you're pulling it by its leash. Rotary dialer on the front. You guys remember that toy? Yeah, it was light. Yeah, you're not going to sell me on a thin piece of phone like the iPhone Air and tell me that it's great. I move forward. I don't move backwards. And to me, the iPhone Air is backwards. It's a novelty phone. It's a beautiful looking phone. It's a phone for the Apple fanboy or fangirl to definitely get to have in their collection of Apple products. Like, I know what it's like to want to collect these things. I collect Google Pixels. No reason at all. I don't think they're going to be valuable in the future. I don't think anyone's going to come by and be like, wow, Tito, you got a great selection of Pixel phones. I got to have this for my collection. Let me buy them. No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's going to drop me $20,000 to $1 million for a collection of Pixels. I just like having them to have them. Now, honestly, I'm actually, and I was talking to my wife about it because of concerns of like batteries and issues and stuff like that. I've already talked to my wife about getting a toolkit, and I'm going to manually remove the batteries out of these older Pixel phones myself, just because I just don't want them like swelling and damaging the hardware of the phone. And I do want to get like a glass casing and probably put it behind me and just have all these Pixels that I have displayed like a history type thing. And if I really want to use one of those phones, since I would learn how to dismantle them and take the batteries out, well, then obviously I can get a battery replacement kit and put a fresh battery in it if I'm going to start using it again. But likely chances I won't do that. I'm not going to buy a fresh battery and put it back into an old Pixel phone just to do a video review of maybe like 2 or 3 more videos and then let it sit on the sideline, let that battery degrade over nothing. That's like wasted money. If I want to do like a touch-up refresher, I got tons of B-roll footage on these phones, and then I can just show the phone in hand. I don't necessarily have to have it on and play around with the screen like I normally do in my review videos and stuff. I have a lot of B-roll footage to take care of that for me. So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, it's just been like a really good experience. I mean, you'll find out in the video review, Pixel 7a on Android 16 QPR 2 beta 1, because that's what the video is going to be about, is how is the new QPR 2 running on the Pixel 7a. I didn't make a video about it. I've been caught up a lot in Pixel 10 content, been caught up a lot in, sharing with you guys the photo capabilities and experience of the Pixel 10, all that stuff. So I kind of like missed that opportunity for the Pixel 7a. And I don't want to keep doing Pixel 10 videos and just making it so bland for you guys. So I want to throw in some other devices. So yes, Pixel 7a video definitely going to be dropping later on today. Updated review video on the Galaxy S21 is coming. I have one of my data only sims in the S21, and I'm using it alongside the Pixel 10 and Pixel 7a. And I'll probably do an update video on my Pixelbook Go, or probably I'll start with the original Pixelbook, the silver and white one. I don't have a Pixel Slate. But I definitely want to get one. Definitely want to get a Pixel tablet. So there's still some stuff I got to add to my Pixel collection and my Google ecosystem, but eventually I'll get there with that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video podcast. Let me go ahead and end the poll right now. And so it sits as it stands. Yeah. Let's see. Mine goes from LTE to 4G to 5G to 5G UC. LTE and 4G is the same thing, bro. Just, I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, 64% said yes. I don't think I asked that question very well, so I don't think that poll counts. But still, yeah, kind of cool to see what you guys answered and everything like that. So tomorrow I won't be live because I got tons of things I got to do tomorrow to get done. As I said, in 3 weeks I'm taking a trip to go see my dad. So there's a lot of things I got to get done tomorrow. So I won't be live tomorrow. Video of the Galaxy S21 will drop tomorrow. I'll be back Thursday with another live stream talking about Mobile X, going more in depth with Mobile X. So if you guys are interested in that, want to know a little bit more about it, then keep it locked. Subscribe to the channel. If you just did, I appreciate that. Turn on bell notifications so that way you don't miss a video upload, or in fact, when I go live. And then, yeah, I appreciate you guys for being here today. Hit the like button, please. And if it gives you the option to hype this live stream video up, depending if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay crew if you're watching the replay. But yeah, if you guys want to hype this video up, I would truly appreciate that. Well, until then, for sure, I'll talk to you on the next one.